Here we go. Hey man, I love that chair in the background. That's a nice leather chair, tufted with the buttons and shit.
Thanks. Yeah. That's my shiz.
Yeah, dude. Oh, that's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's comfy when I'm working.
Yeah. You know what? That would be good for clients, but I know you're not going to say clients there, but like they could lay back on
It's
that.
also it's
That
also good for sex, Tom, just letting you know.
terrific. Send me the link. It's good to see you. Good to be back here doing the show today. We're going to be talking about control. Ooh, trying to control things.
Control.
And how do you manage
Dun
that
dun dun
when
dun.
you're out of control or things are out of your control or those oh shit moments?
Whoa. Control is an illusion, Tom. It's an
Yeah.
illusion. We think we control things in our life, and we actually don't. And that's the hardest lessons that some people have to learn is really we are out of control. And you have to, I mean, one of the secrets in life is being comfortable not being in control.
Yes. And we have clients who it's kind of a mind fuck when we start talking about control because they're like, I don't have control issues. I'm not that type of person. And you're like, but but you do. And here's the examples of why. You're trying to
Right.
control your relationship that you have with your partner, or you're trying to control or manipulate the people that are around you. And I know some of them have really good intentions, but they lack the understanding of how it's affecting the other person.
Mm, for sure.
So that
I met with someone this week who, as an older gentleman, several failed marriages, two of his three children are estranged from him, because they wouldn't let him control them as adults.
yeah,
Marriages failed because control issues. Now, he was in a relationship he really cared about, tried to control the situation in that relationship. That relationship failed, and now he's distraught
yeah,
because he wants that relationship to continue. It's the best relationship he's ever had.
yeah,
So why doesn't she see that, I love her and care for her very much and I'm the best thing that ever happened to her? Well, you tried to control her and it didn't work. You've tried to
yeah.
control everything in your life and it hasn't worked. These things have blown up in your face, but
Mhm.
yet you continue to do the same things and you're going to continue to make the same mistakes over and over and over again until you start to take a really hard look at your behaviors, and how you try to control all the situations in your life.
Yeah. Well, I see some themes with codependents, those who are codependent. They do these things, and that people who are very controlling do these things like pay for all the bills or do everything for the other person. And then they don't get the requisite response back from them, whether they're looking for attention or love or appreciation or sex or whatever. That it's not an eye for an eye. It's not a like 1-to-1 ratio. I do these things for you and then you give me all these expectations. And so when they
Right.
don't receive the expectations, they that's when they feel out of control, and so they need to do their best to try to control the situation, to control the relationship. And they don't
Right.
realize that they're doing it because they have all these reasons why and all these things that they've done for the other person. Look, I've done this. I've paid your way. I bought you a house. I bought you a car. Send your kids to college. I've done all these things. Why are you not allowing me to, essentially control or dictate your life? And then they don't do the things that that person feels like they ought to be doing, and then they
Right.
lose their shit.
Yeah. Along with control, another big theme that comes up with is managing expectations,
Mhm.
right? There's so many disappointments in our life come from a mismatch of expectations,
Yeah.
and that's why, particularly in couples counseling, we talk about communication is so important. And communication is expressing your expectations. This is what, this is what I'm hoping to happen. This is what I'm hoping, is the situation. This is what I hope to accomplish in this relationship. Well, the other person may have very different expectations.
Right. Mhm. So I think it's helpful for us in couples work and for couples to do that, to talk about the things that they really want out of the relationship and what they expect from their partner. And they have to become okay if the partner doesn't feel comfortable meeting those expectations or has different expectations. They can kind of
Hmm.
negotiate and compromise and figure out, well, how can we make this work together, a give and take type of thing. I've noticed
Hmm.
issues with control with me, of course, buying into the illusion that I can control everything. Um, whenever things are going well, I feel like I'm in charge, I'm in control of it. It's when life like gets thrown off kilter and you get knocked down or you wake up a little bit later than you expected and it feels like your whole day is off or something catastrophic happens and like now you have to respond or react in an emergency situation. And that's when you experience this loss of control. That's when the illusion is finally removed and you see that I am not in control of these things. I'm
Right.
really just responding to stimuli. I'm just adapting. And I think if you focus on the fact that you are adaptable and becoming strong and resilient so that whatever comes your way, you can quickly adjust, adapt,
Hmm.
improvise, overcome whatever it is you need to, then that is worth putting more of your time and energy into being adaptable, being strong, being resilient, instead of trying to manipulate and control everything around you. Because, like you said, and to your point, it's all just a big fake facade illusion, that
Right.
we do have any kind of control other than maybe
Hmm.
what I eat and maybe what I wear, And even
Right.
with that, like if I put on a pink shirt and I kind of like it, I'm not used to wearing pink, but I was like, oh, there's something about this I like. And my wife says I really like it. That's going to influence my behavior, and I'm probably going to wear it more often because if she
Right.
likes it and she maybe is attracted to that, she likes me in this pink shirt, then I'm going to wear that more often. So am I really in control of that?
Right. Or you'd say, I really want to wear this pink shirt this morning. You brush your teeth and get toothpaste down the front of it. Well, now,
Right?
now it's going in the laundry and you're wearing a different shirt. Yeah.
Right.
So, but you're right. I think that people hold on to, they use control as a form of holding things together, right? Like life is good as long as I'm in control. I'm driving my car, I'm, going to work. Well, you may be driving a car and you are in control of your car, but you're not in control of all the other idiots around you that are trying to smash into you and kill you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's
But I
where a lot
mean,
of anxiety comes.
yeah, yeah. People try to hold control because if I'm in control, then things are right in the world.
Yeah.
So when things are not in their control, things are not right in the world.
Yeah.
And that's when they get off kilter. Like this guy, I mean, he's a hard alpha. He's been in control of work and, family and everything his whole life. It hasn't worked out for him very well, but he's held control. And
Yeah.
now this situation is out of control and he is
Yeah.
spinning like a top.
Yeah. And we've had multiple clients like this. So what we're talking about is kind of an amalgam of many different
Yeah,
people,
for
but we
sure.
see this as a reoccurring thing, and they spin out of control and they have tremendous anxiety and even depression over it, and anger and
Mhm.
frustration, and like you said, just spinning out of control when you can take the reins and focus on you. Focus
Right,
on the things that are within your control, the limited amount of things. Like I control what I say, I control how I change my thoughts and my thought processes. I can take on challenges and work hard to overcome those challenges or to meet those challenges. I can create goals for myself and reverse engineer and figure out step by step how I'm going to meet or exceed those goals that I laid out for myself. I control the things that I put into my body. Um, you focus on those things. I focus on the exercise that I do. I focus on preparing to make sure all those 5 things we talk about to make sure I can get really quality sleep and recovery. And, those things feel much more comfortable to me. And I take great, I relish in the fact that I don't have to worry about the rest of the world or anybody else. I can just focus on doing those basic things for myself. That feels so
Right.
much better because it's overwhelming trying to control everybody else or trying to control every situation.
Hmm. For sure. And when we see people holding on to control that goes sideways, that's when people start engaging in like disordered eating or self-injury. Those are control issues. I can't control what's going on around me, but I can control what I do to my body, what I put in my body, and those kinds of things. So
Right.
those are the extreme symptomatology of people that are holding on to significant control issues.
Right, eating disorders, self-harm behaviors, promiscuity. These are
Yep.
things that are within your control, and it feels better because I can control those things, but I can't control everybody else, especially if there was traumatic things that happened to that person that often leads to those
Right.
types of behaviors and those personalities.
Right. For sure. Tom, it's funny. You and I have been doing this a long time and got a couple of years under our belts, but we fully agree that control is an illusion, and we can control the things like you said in our lives: exercise, sleep, the food I eat, those kinds of things. Everything else is, I'll just adapt to it as it comes to me.
Yeah. Well, when people
That's
have the supreme anxiety and they start going over and ruminating, what potentially might happen, and they feel like thinking about it is doing something
right.
regarding and maybe even preventing the outcome of it. And I try to move clients towards, okay, if you have that anxiety and you're focused in the future about things that are going to happen, especially not so nice things, then um, think about how you would adapt to the situation and remind yourself that you've adapted to so many things already, whether consciously or unconsciously, that whatever happens in the future, even if that thing happens that you don't want to have happen, you're going to be okay. You're going to adapt to it. You're going to have to figure it out. Even if it's
Right.
seemingly catastrophic in your mind, probably not going to be as catastrophic, kind of probably sort of gonna be more of a minor inconvenience, for
Right.
you, and you'll see that you'll be alright. So, what are you
Mhm.
gonna do if that thing were to happen? Think about and write down, like, "These are my options, this is what I can do," and, then you have a list of things, if that thing were to happen, that you can already engage in. Sometimes just writing that list out helps to alleviate the stress and the anxious thinking or the ruminating or the perseverating over that thing because now I have a plan in place.
Right. No, absolutely. We talked about anxiety is worrying about the future, depression is worrying about the past. So, you can't control the future. And that's why, we talk a lot about top sand. When you look at a sand timer, timer. Um, the bottom sand is your past, it's your history, it's gone.
Yeah.
You should learn from it, you should remember it, but don't dwell on it. You can't change it, right? You can just adapt to the things that have come at you. So, 95% of your time, you should be focusing on that top sand, on your future, on today moving forward, because that's what's in your purview. That's what you can influence. That's what you have left. So we
Yeah.
always talk about top sand. And you and I remind each other all the time when we start, when we're talking and we have those moments where we're past focused, we're like, hey, stay top sand. Now it's time to say top sand,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Focus on the top sand. I mean, briefly, if you want to learn from the past and, examine what you did and how that
Mhm.
affected the situation and what would you like to do differently, that can be helpful, but just briefly. I
Mhm.
mean, that doesn't take longer than 5 minutes to do that. And then
Right.
get into the present moment and, okay, how am I going to, what am I going to do differently should the same kind of situation arise? And naturally, you've already adapted because you've already experienced that.
Mm,
Trauma is when something happens that is outside of our ability to handle. We've never experienced that before. We don't know how to respond. It's emotionally, cognitively taxing. And so once we've experienced that, the next time something like that happens, we already have that experience to draw from, and we can respond differently because it's no longer a new thing.
right. Yeah, no, for sure. Very well said.
There are oh shit moments in life in life. Had one the other night. Something was the dog was aspirating on part of a tissue, and of course, all of a sudden, our happy coming home and we're gonna enjoy our evening turns into, an oh shit, oh fuck, what's happening to our dog? It's our, a puppy. He's still a puppy, and so we go through that, and he's okay, but I mean, we had that our lives are flipped upside down now, and we
Mhm.
need to rely on our ability to bounce back and adapt to a situation, to try to stay cool and triage the situation. All right. If he passes out, then maybe I can remove whatever was lodged because he was wheezing, something was caught in his trachea. We have the number to the vet. There's emergency vets here in town. We know sort of CPR, like we can engage in that. We can figure out and do everything we can. I mean, in life, there's just things that happen that we are not expecting. And the fact that we've spent time focusing on learning skills, learning how to adapt in new environments, challenging ourselves, working on our physical, emotional, mental strength. That has enabled us to deal with a situation such as that oh shit moment.
Right, for sure. And, you know, it just that made me think of a friend of ours, Tom, that we used to work with a lot. Her husband was in a car accident and ended up passing away
Yeah.
on Friday.
Oh my God.
So, yeah. So, we have those moments that we're just not prepared for. And, that's why we talk about, I don't know, those are hard things to recover from, but that's why it's important to be resilient and at your best because you never know what's going to come at you. Um, and when you're down and not feeling good and in a bad way, it's even harder to manage those oh shit moments that come at us. So,
Yeah.
we talk about resiliency as like your armor. It's like you're prepped. You're at your ready. You're like a fighter, right? You're at your peak performance. You're ready to handle, anybody that comes at you in the ring. So that's why it's important to manage yourself and be as resilient as possible, doing those top five things: sleep, nutrition, exercise, water, and exercise in a schedule. Just to build your resiliency because you never know what's going to come at you. You never know when the dog's going to aspirate. You never know when
Right.
stuff's going to happen to you. So those
Right.
oh shit moments are going to happen, you know? Yeah, and you never forget those calls. I remember the phone rang at 2 in the morning, and it was my father's friend that said, "I think you need to come to your dad's house." I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Okay. All
okay,
right.
I'm on my way." Yeah, so you're gonna have oh shit moments in life. So be prepared, be as resilient as you can, because they will come at you.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of our experience as human beings that we're going to have those and we're going to have to adapt. And I think it's helpful, and we talk about this a lot, especially in the mental health field, and especially as social workers, having some protective factors and support systems in place.
Hmm.
Whatever that looks like for you, it could be family and friends that you can rely upon, that you trust, that you can go to in those moments. Having a clergy member or a priest or a pastor that you can call on if you're, religious. Having a therapist in place that you trust, that you can reach out to. should you find yourself in a situation. All these different things can become support systems for you. Having a network of support, I think, is so important. Even if you don't need it right now, I mean, here's the benefits of having ongoing therapy. I mean, you're my therapist essentially, because I talk and I do that for you. And
Mm,
and we are pretty well adjusted to life, but we still seek counsel from one
mm,
another. And so I think it's helpful for anybody and everybody to have some sort of counselor type, therapist type that they can talk to from time to time. It doesn't have to be every week. Maybe it's once a month, or maybe it's once every 3 months, just as a check-in, because you don't realize what's going on. You ever go get a massage and they're rubbing like part of your back or your neck or something, and you're like, oh, I didn't realize that was so tight. You just got used to it being painful or being uncomfortable, that you forgot that it was actually an issue. And same thing for our mental and emotional health. We get used to things being out of whack, and that becomes the normal. So I think it's good to have somebody to go talk to that you trust, who is unbiased, who's non-judgmental, who can be there for you to just listen. And it's not that you need to fix anything or that anything's wrong right now. It's just to have that in place. Because if you
right.
find yourself in an oh shit situation and you don't have that support system, now you're frantically reaching out for help, you might not be able to find it.
Right. That's a really good point, Tom. I
So,
miss our caffeine sessions.
yeah, I
Shots of
know.
espresso
Me too.
and
Me too.
and
So much.
purging.
Well, there were so many of those workouts. I mean, the majority of it we actually worked out and felt really good, but there were so many of those sessions where we did maybe one round of like half-assed exercise, but it was about us like talking about things. Sometimes it was
Yep.
me venting and talking about shit that was going on in my life, or talking about clients that I was having difficulty with, and vice versa.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that was really important. So I think that's a big reason why we're going to keep, doing our podcast, not only because it's helpful to the community of listeners, but also for us, like to
For
what
sure.
you're talking about.
Absolutely. That's the main reason. If somebody else gets learned something along the way, that's great. But otherwise,
Yeah, man.
yeah, no.
Uh,
I
if you
mean,
haven't checked it
and then
out, for you and for the other listeners, last podcast was about emotional eating, and I think that was really helpful. There's also some hypnosis that I have on the website that I think would be helpful regarding that. And I'd like to keep the conversation going, really for my benefit, too. So
mm,
if you haven't checked that out, go back to the previous podcast. Check that.
yeah, for sure. Sounds good, Tom.
I cut you off. I think you were going to say something else.
Oh, I don't know what it was, but I'm sure it was not very prophetic.
But control. So, to recap, things that are within your control, those simple things, those basic things that we talked about, um, those are really helpful to just focus on those instead of everybody else and everything else in life. And when it comes to that outside stuff, you just focus on being as mentally, emotionally, and physically strong, resilient, and adaptable as you can be.
Yeah. Develop your support network now so that it's there when you need it. There are some friends and people that we call for a distraction, right? We don't necessarily talk about our problems with, but they're a distraction from our problems.
Mhm.
And then we have to have somebody in our network that we can reach out to and talk to about our issues, whether that's a friend, a family member, or a professional. You've got to develop that network and have it in place so that when you have those oh shit moments in life, you're not floundering about where do I turn.
Absolutely. 100%, man. Thank you. Well, I'm honored to be here with you, and I look forward to our next go around next week, man.
Absolutely. If you have any topic ideas for us, let us know at questions@therapiesunzipped.com. We'll be happy to tackle any questions or any topics that you'd like us. Nothing is off limits. We'll talk about anything.
Seriously, nothing. We'll get into it.
Sure.
All right. There's probably
All
some
right,
political
Tom.
things you want to talk about, I'm sure.
Always great to see you, man.
Same. All right, brother. Peace, chicken grease, and I'll have a great, have a great weekend. Have some good food, have some good time, and enjoy some workouts and company. And I'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Take care.